Okay, so it's now my great pleasure to introduce to you Juan Gonzalez Villaro. I think we're seeing around the world that food issues are making headline news more and more. We heard Jamie Oliver talk about one side of food issues, which is the obesity problem. The other side, there's the billion people overeating. There's also a billion people going to bed hungry. 20,000 people will die from hunger, and by 2050, the planet will need to feed 9 billion people. And unfortunately, the natural resources we have to do that are running out. Food security, as many of the problems and the issues we're talking about over these 2 days, is a very complex problem, and there isn't one solution. But every solution needs awareness amongst the next generation. So launched in March 2011 to students across some of Europe's leading universities, Thought for Food is a one-of-a-kind initiative aimed at generating fresh ideas to tackle the world's escalating food issues. So in a minute, we're going to hear from Juan Gonzalo Villaro, who is Head of Public Policy and Partnerships at Syngenta, and some of his students who've been developing those fresh ideas. But first of all, let's have a look at the video. If we could run that, please.
Every single day on our peculiar planet
starts the same way.
Nearly 1 billion people wake up knowing that they will go to bed hungry.
Their day will revolve around the search for food.
They will sweat, scavenge, beg, and steal to find food enough to stay alive. 25,000 people
today will fail to outrun their hunger.
And on the same planet, at the same moment in time,
hundreds of millions will wake up fat and overfed. They will eat dangerous portions and waste still more.
30% of the world's food is thrown out
every day. And this perverse imbalance continues day after day.
Half the world starves.
Half the world eats their way into crisis. This is the world we've been given. This is the world they've made. Now who's going to do something about it?
Will it be these guys?
Are the same interests that made this world going to change it?
Or is it our turn? Are we ready to make the world a better place for 9 billion people?
This is our time.
Our planet.
Our problem.
Let's be bold.
Let's change the world.
Juan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's really an honor to be here among the brightest and the most promising leaders of the future. And we just saw in the video that your talent is more than needed. We also just heard about Africa Rising. And agriculture is at the bottom of an economic development. And so the Thought for Food campaign is related to many of those global issues that we need to tackle. Yesterday, you heard from Jamie Oliver when he introduced his new show, Food Revolution, that food is not really a sparkly, pretty show. But what he wants to do, and I think that's the cause of today as well, is to get as many ambassadors for change as possible, because it's desperately needed. It begins with ambassadors in this room, and those are the ambassadors that we need through your networks to raise everywhere. I can go on about the achievements that have been done in the first campaign, but I'm not going to do that because we will have time to hear from the participants later. But there's one thing I want to summarize. They are not just inspiring, they're not just impressive, they are not just a little intimidating, I have to say. They're really, and that's all your thoughts, are essential at this point in time to change the food system that we have. And that's why Syngenta, the company that I work for, and a company that is dedicated to help farmers, launched this campaign. Without getting involved ourselves, it is about you thinking about the problems. Discover the problems yourself and think hard about how to get solutions in place. Food may be a basic human need. Food is also a human right. But food is nothing that you can easily, or the challenges around food is nothing that you can easily put on a sticker. Although we tried, and I hope every one of you has one of these in the midwhile, and I hope to see you all in the chatting rooms talking about the food issues of the future. let's try to comprehend what I'm talking about and have a look at the headlines that we're facing at this point. We just heard every day around 1 billion goes to bed hungry. At the same time, 1 billion is simply overfed and just extends the resources. By the middle of the century, we will have 2 billion people more, and the calculations are that by the end of the century, it's maybe even 10 billion. Already now, we are consuming an equivalent of 1.5 planets. And the calculations are that this is going to be 2.5 by 2050. That's 1.5 more than we have. And we have to do something about it. Our climate, we all know, is getting hotter. Every day from the satellite pictures, you see more pieces of Earth going from green to brown. Water is already limited. Around 2 billion people already suffer from water scarcity. All those challenges are real. If we stick to business as usual as we have it, we will not survive the end of the century. So these are staggered facts and figures, and I know that these facts sometimes make us, instead of encouraging us, they let us actually flutter. They let us falter and walk away. And that's why I think we need a new generation that is not walking away, a generation that actually takes the issues by its roots. And that's your generation. You're the most globally engaged generation that ever lived on this planet. And you understand that the only way to save the planet is through this global community. You also know the power of networking in a way that I never understood. You know how to leverage messages and multiply them in your social networks. You know how to get people to act and people to stand up, people to actually change the course. I came of age in the 60s, an age where we also thought and we also said we can change something. But your wisdom is what's needed now to make the changes that we need now. And it is your passion that is going to prove it. I'm convinced. It is possible to change the world and the food system to actually starting growing more and getting more out of less. That's our challenge that we have to tackle. TFF was launched in Europe this year to actually get the thought process moving. And it's going to grow to a global campaign as we speak. So I invite you all to participate. And I already thank you all for the leadership that you're going to take, for your passion and your wisdom. And before I introduce the winners of this year's Thought for Food campaign, I would like to show you a video that summarizes a little bit of the thinking that this group of people did. Thank you.
You join us here in the Zero Food Waste Challenge here at contestant Kelly.
Let's do this.
Strike pose.
Best before dates should be abolished.
And it's a smartphone app targeted for all smartphone users called More For My Food.
I love that. I'm in. Me too.
It's a program where we take children from urban areas. They don't know that the milk actually doesn't come from the milk container, but from the cow.
I'll
next idea in raising awareness for the issue of food security is to hand out bookmarks at our local libraries and bookshops.
A generation of children who were born into a junk food culture. But we need to break the cycle.
We want to introduce the Meat-Free Monday.
This giant frying pan will catch and fry locusts. Here's some locusts, let's cook them up and see what they taste like.
Master chef quality.
Yummy, yummy.
And now join me in welcoming on stage this year's winners of the campaign. So the best ideas that we found. Where are they? My winners? Over there. Come on. Let me introduce Semi Doken, Imperial College. Adrian Atrup, University of Reading. Come on. Sylvia Grajikova, Imperial College. This doesn't fit. Hey, Kenny O'Donnell, Imperial College. Katharina Rodrigo, University of Reading. Who are you? It's not the order. Yeah, Manpreeti Singh, Wageningen University. Now I'm totally out. Katie?
Ilona.
Ilona, welcome. Hey, Luke, come on. Takes me too long. So it's 3 universities that we have on stage: University of Reading, Imperial College London, and University of Wageningen in the Netherlands. Those were the 3 ideas that won this year's campaign from a total of, I think it was 12 teams participating. Let's start with you folks. Semi, why should we care about food security?
Well, we should care about food security for the simple reason that 1 billion people go hungry every day. And that number is just going to keep rising as the world population grows, unless we do something about it now. Stuff that Thought for Food has been doing to try and solve food security issues includes involving the universities in Europe to provide local solutions in their area, projects we've been doing in the challenge. And it's also been helping in developing countries to microfinance farmers using organizations such as Kiva to help try and create sustainable farming solutions. Food hunger is also directly linked to conflict, famine, and poverty. So tackling food waste and food security will help alleviate all of these issues.
Thank you. So, Adrienne, do you think it's really possible to achieve food security in the systems as we have them for 9 billion?
We've proven before that it is possible, and really we have no choice but to believe that we can do it again. However, unlike the Green Revolution of the 1970s, this time our increase in production must truly be on a global scale. Furthermore, current agricultural production systems around the world are not sustainable, and moving forward, this must be changed. Resources such as soil and water must not be viewed simply as inputs into a production system, but as our lifeblood, because our very existence depends on their health. And lastly, food security is not simply about increasing food production, it is about increasing access to food. There are a number of social, political, and economic barriers that greatly limit people's ability to access food, and in order to achieve worldwide food security, these must be addressed.
Great thinking, thank you. So, Slavina, what do you think is the biggest hindrance that we have to overcome the issues?
I think that
Well, most people immediately would say, you know, the biggest obstacle that we face is actually the complexity of the problem, because it involves so many different aspects that are all huge and, you know, seemingly impossible to tackle. But I don't think that that's the case. I think the real obstacle is our own ignorance and our apathy. We, you know, you and I need to educate ourselves about the food that we eat. And, you know, perhaps more importantly about the food that we don't eat, but the food that, you know, sits on the shelves of our fridges and our supermarkets and just rots. And once we know what we need to do, we just need to do it. You know, we need to chip away at the problem one bit at a time so that we gather enough momentum to change the food system and make it sustainable and equitable, which is the most important thing.
Whoa.
He's got one.
Ah, he's got one. That's great. Let's move over to this side. Rodrigo. What do you think is the number one thing we can all do, and not just call others to do?
Hi. I think we all know what we need to do, really. We need to act against waste. It is estimated that 1/3 of all food produced is either lost or wasted from the point where it is produced to the point where it is consumed. As consumers, we can act against this. Everyone knows what to do exactly. You know, don't waste, don't throw away food that is edible, plan your meals, have actual meals where you don't eat meat. Don't just say it's very good not to eat meat. And we need to talk about it because we need action now. So we need to spread the word and we need to do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, over to you. So what should young people do?
Okay, well, I think the best thing that we can learn is respect. Respect for the food that we have and that others don't have. I think we need to respect where our food comes from, what the food that we put on our plate is, and how we deal with the food that's left on our plate afterwards. And hopefully there shouldn't be too much left on our plates afterwards. Now, I know these are all really small steps, but united small steps can make such a difference if we all did it, if we all had the passion for food that we're all trying to convey sitting here. We want you to feel the love and the passion, and like, I know that most of you here hopefully do. So.
Thank you. So let's shift gear a bit. Katrina, what have you learned? What do you think is the added value that Thought for Food brought?
I think, above all, the Thought for Food Challenge opened my eyes to the potential that local solutions have to help solve global problems. I think we've learned how to come up with such solutions in a creative way and how to start implementing those solutions in the community. It was definitely a great opportunity to learn how to liaise with the media, to get the word out, to reach other people, and to inspire them to join our cause. Thank you.
Thijs? What do you think is the role of global business in this context?
I can be short in this. First, businesses should be open-minded about this topic. And second, businesses should listen to our ideas. Businesses can really make people aware about these issues. So, at first, businesses can just making people aware about food security, so looking to their employees. Second, they can also make it broader. They can support ideas like us, so in the future. This is actually what businesses could do.
Thank you. Luke.
That's me.
Luke, what impacted you most in the campaign and this very intense experience that you had with Thought for Food? And what is your most memorable thing?
What impacted me the most? is I think that we as an individual can make a change. And that with only a small change in our lifestyle. My team and I made up an idea to eat no meat for only 1 day in the week. Because meat production is really inefficient and gives a lot of pollution. And what about my best memory is I think that we can create really good ideas by bringing people together from completely different backgrounds.
Manpreet, I hope it's not just a one-off. So what are you going to do about the issues now that the first campaign is over? And how is it going to impact the way you continue?
I think that ending our initiative is the beginning of another difficult challenge, which is carry on and making bigger our projects. Now, we see a great opportunity in creating a meatless Monday enterprise. So with the support of our university, we can have a meatless food stand, and so at each Monday, and we can distribute to students simple recipes and allow them to taste or to sample vegetarian dishes. Now, a second thing is that I would really like to help launch a second generation thought for food thinkers all across the globe and on each continent. So I hope that with this, a chain can be created, a chain of thoughts, connecting, inspiring, and moving people. Now, at last, I really loved the short movies we made during promoting our projects, and it made such a fabulous impact, it had such a fabulous response, that we will continue doing this, and we will use the social medium like YouTube and Facebook to bring across serious thoughts, but with a bit of humor into it. That was it.
Thank you. Katie, you're talking about social media. How can they even better be used for this kind of campaign?
Well, we found in our own projects that social media sites were really useful because although we were only able to actually implement our project in the UK and in our local town, through the Facebook group we set up, we actually had contact with people all over the world, and we heard from people in Nigeria, people in the USA, people in Cyprus, and they were really interested in what we were doing. And I think, as we all heard yesterday in the Changing Media plenary, we can all be activists by using social networking sites, and we can all promote the causes that we believe in. And even as Carol Stone said earlier today, word of mouth is the best way to bring about change. And through using social networking sites, we can bring about messages through word of mouth, but to hundreds of people at the same time.
Great, thank you. So, Ilona, how can young people around the world learn from the experience you have made?
I think from our experience, young people can learn, and they should realize two main things. One thing, that you don't need a lot of power and money to really do things, because we were just a group of 5 students in a team, or even less, and we could still do really amazing things. And the characteristic of young people is that they have really a lot of energy, and if they strongly believe in their ideas, they can really do a lot. And the second thing to realize for young people, but also older people, is that small local initiatives, which are quite easy and feasible to do, in the long term are bringing really global effects.
So, Natasha, over to you. What should be next?
Yeah, well, oh God, we had all these great speakers up here, and I don't know how to put it up. It's actually quite scary. But I would love to use this opportunity to ask Young World to support food security as a resolution for next year's One Young World. Food security has emerged as a key global issue, and it's only becoming more challenging in the future. There's so much hunger in the world, there's malnutrition. I know I have to keep it short because we're out of time, but yeah, just like what you said, food waste. Oh, sorry. Some countries, they waste so many food, like it has no value at all, like it's completely worthless. Well, in another country, 1 cup of rice can make the difference between life and death. We are growing, our population is growing, but our soul is degrading underneath our feet. And what do? We just stand there, watching our yields decline, basically doing nothing. Not because we don't want to, but we either don't have the knowledge or we don't have the resources. And we are depleting our resources faster and faster, but we're actually going to need them much more in the future. So yeah, I just can't express in words the importance of food security. So I just want to ask you all if you know the importance of food security, and if you do, and you want to have it as a solution or a resolution for next year, please raise your hands, and maybe you can make a change next year and think about these really important issues. Thank you.
So, we want to do a call on all of you. Join our project, join your ideas with us. Join us on Facebook, join us on Twitter, join wherever you can, and share your ideas with us. Because we young world, we can change and we can make ideas to fight against food security and to give other people opportunities. Thank you.
Well, with that, we finished the session. Please give me a hand to all the participants, also those that are not here with us, and